national championship happened yesterday. Georgia, Alabama. Was it exactly what you had anticipated?
I thought it was going to be. I mean, the game was probably closer than the final score, for being honest. But I thought Georgia would win. I thought it would probably be a little bit closer. Statistically, the game was super close.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama just didn't execute, and I thought losing Jamison Williams was obviously a huge blow. They'd already lost Mechie.
Mm-hmm.
So, you lose the likely number one receiver taken. I mean, good chance to be. That's not gonna.
I spoke it into existence in last week's show. That's my bad.
Yeah, he's gonna find you.
I really think I should probably delete that off my YouTube account before.
Yeah,
it gets too crazy. But yeah, I mean, that really was the key part of our preview last week. You and I both predicted Georgia to win, but you and I predicted a closer final score. And it was, like you said, you mentioned statistically, it really was. And Alabama actually seemed to be even the better team in the first half, part of the third quarter even, and then Georgia kind of started moving the ball slowly. I think we wore them down.
I think Alabama still had the lead with 10 minutes left. I mean, obviously it was still like 9-6, but I mean, Georgia was able to run the football enough. Alabama was not, and that was the difference.
Yeah, I mean, Robinson had a good several good chunk runs in the first half, and then Zamir White started to get the chunk runs, and then obviously the Bulldogs had a really nice run by James Cook for like 65 yards too in the first half. It was actually really surprising to see a 9-6 score going into halftime, just given how much they were stretching the field. But then you had talked about the game speed for both of these teams, just speed, strength, ability, IQ. It's pretty high for those two teams. And I think that
two teams just stacked with 5-star players on defense. I mean, offense too, but really those two defenses are just loaded. So,
and then we talked about it. The Crimson Tide were pretty much a key injury away from whether that could have been Robinson at running back or Trey Sanders at running back or Bryce Young and then Jamison Williams, or even lose Will Anderson on the defense or Phil Mathis. They had a lot of guys that if they go down, it does kind of change the game because they're kind of spread thin as is, despite their third stringers being 4-star athletes still. So it was an exciting game. I was not able to stay. I tried. I watched on my phone and then I passed out. And then I woke up at 2:30 in the morning and ESPN was still going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it was cool. I mean it's good to see somebody else win. Georgia hasn't won in a long time. They've been close. Stetson Bennett played pretty. I mean he was terrible early. Probably. I mean just horrible.
Very skittish.
And he settled down. And just let his guys go make a few plays, and he made a few plays himself. And I mean definitely a fun game to watch. It wasn't. I don't know. It was good to see. Just really good to see somebody else win other than Alabama or Alabama mostly. So.
Yeah, I think everybody except for Alabama fans were rooting for Georgia. So.
Yeah, I mean, not that I love Georgia or how they go about their business necessarily, and I'm pretty sick of the SEC. That was the lowest rated national championship game on TV since 2005.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you don't count last year because the COVID year.
Wow. I would not have expected that. It's two powerhouses that get all the people they want.
Yeah, I just don't think anybody else cared enough. You know what I mean? I mean, there's I knew a lot of people who are legitimate, college football fans who just didn't even watch. And they just didn't, I mean, I watched just for the football part of it, but
I was multitasking. I was sorting my DVDs and Blu-rays.
It wasn't like I was glued to my TV. You know what I mean? I watched it.
I was able to get up and walk around.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I was like, oh my gosh, I need to watch this,
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people saw it that way. So I don't know. It was I think that I don't know. There's argument for expansion. I mean, I know everybody's like, well, the two best teams still got in and played. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine, but I just think you're going to have a lot more entertainment value from a TV standpoint, and I think you're just going to have a lot more. I mean, if you really want to worry about, different years leaving teams out, just expand it to 8, get the 6 conference champions in, and then 2 at-larges, and you're never going to have an argument. The number 9 team is not going to be. I mean,
that's
they're
kind of
going to
what
be
I'm
bad.
thinking is 8 is just and especially because it kind of gives that. I mean, we see it college basketball March Madness every year. There is that 14 seed that come in and beat that 3 seed sometimes, and it would be nice to get that number 8 seed to beat the number 1 seed or something. Maybe a Baylor does take down a Bama in a weird fluke game because it's a win and go home kind of deal or lose and go home kind of deal. So
well, and I think a lot of those teams. I mean, if you get to a point, everybody's all like, oh, UCF deserved to be there a few years ago. And I don't really think they did. But, like, if you expand it to 8, then you at least give them a shot, right? Then you don't have to argue.
There's one year with Mackenzie Milton there at UCF for that.
Yeah, well, they're 13-0. They were 13-0. And now they claim a national championship themselves when Scott Frost was still there. And they're freaking out about that. But it's like, okay, I still don't think you deserved it because you didn't play anybody, right? But, okay, fine. Let's give them a chance. They're a 7 or an 8 seed. Whatever, and then let's see what happens, right? If they lose in that, then they can't. There's no argument at that point, right? Because the teams at 9 and 10, they're all with 2 losses more than likely, right? Yeah, now you might, if you expand it to 8, you might end up with a 2-loss team getting in, like a 2-loss conference champion.
You might even get a really good 9 and 3 team in there.
Yeah, maybe, but still, you know what? You don't have arguments at that point. You kind of you give everybody their fair shake. You know what I mean? Western Michigan could have been an 8 seed a few years ago when PJ Fleck was still there. So you give everybody a shot, and that's, in my opinion, that's the way to do it. Plus, I mean, if they really are worried about TV ratings like that, so you know how many people were tuning into that type of stuff? That'd be cool. That'd be really cool, especially as soon as you get one of those big upsets, like a 7 beating a 2 or an 8 beating a 1, or if it happens one time, that'd be like, okay, now you know what I mean? Like, now it's really cool.